Welcome to Module 7 of the UU Leadership Institute, Love Reaches Out, Outreach and Growth in a Time of Change. I'm Kerry McDonald, and I'm coming to you here from the UUA, and you'll see my colleague Sarah Gibb-Millspaugh in our later videos in this, later video lectures for this section. So today we want to talk about where you can get started, your congregation, in reaching new audiences. We spent the last couple modules talking about all kinds of outreach-related topics, including your congregation's understanding of itself, its brand identity, and how it comes across in the community. We've talked about communication strategies, social media, websites, and now it's really time to put all that into practice. So today's module, Getting Started, is hopefully going to give you some tools, tactics, and guidelines for how to make that happen. So as we start thinking about here where the rubber is going to meet the road, consider that the folks in your congregation are there for a reason. It's not an accident that you have the people that you have or you don't have the people that you don't have involved in your congregation's life. And we've talked about how we send signals off into the wider community, right? And all that is a part of it. But just also consider that if you want other kinds of people, different people to be involved, you're probably going to have to do something differently. And consider also that if you succeed in getting those folks involved, your congregation might be different. Perhaps that's why you're getting into this, is because you want your congregation to be different. You aspire to be something different from what you are. But I say that just as a way of introduction because if we're successful with outreach, we are going to be in a different place individually as a faith and as a faith movement. And so to have that kind of a mindset as we think about building relationships with new audiences. The Faith Communities Today survey, which we've referenced in some of the other lectures, which is a survey done by religious groups across the United States, and the UUA participates in that, found that in 2015, the congregations that had the most people in the congregation, so the most lay members engaged in recruiting and reaching out to new people, that was one of the best predictors of growth, which of course makes sense when you think about it. But all of the tactics and communications, finely honed tools, or consultants and support networks can't take the place of a group of people who are passionate about their faith community and really getting out there. So much so that will actually change the environment. Being that outward looking and engaged with new folks can actually change the environment in your congregation. So we just wanted to start there as we talk about how to build those first stages of relationship in your congregation with new audiences. Now, most people, in thinking about why they want or how they want new folks to participate in their congregation, think about Sunday morning. And it's true that you can do a better job of promoting specific Sunday morning opportunities. And we'll talk a little bit about that in some of the later in some of our discussions today. But it's also true that Sunday morning can be a tough first step for a lot of people, right? We've said how most folks don't just show up. They check you out online. They look at your Facebook presence. They look at your website. And then they make a decision about whether they want to show up on a Sunday morning, right? So part of the key strategy for reaching those folks is to create a better first opportunity to get to know them than Sunday morning, which in a lot of congregations, right, Sunday morning has announcements or things that need to be addressed within the congregation. You know, let's say you're in the middle of your pledge drive, and that's a main topic of the sermon that week. Is that a great first entry point for visitors? You know, it's not as good as it could be. So we really want to explore other kinds of programs, events, opportunities for folks to get to know your congregation for the first time, right? If we're building relationships, what we're thinking about here is first dates. And having expecting your visitors to only go on this first date with your congregation on Sunday morning is a little like taking your family along with every first date. You know, if you have a great family and they're on their best behavior, that can be great. But we want to explore lower risk situations for folks to get to know your congregation that are going to feel more designed just for them. And that key word there is design, and that's going to be the way that we think about how we imagine those experiences or create them through partnerships. So we're going to be talking a lot about design thinking today as well. So before we get to the design thinking, we're going to pull through the persona work that you've done in thinking about your target audiences. We're going to pull through some of the branding work that you've done and think about where, in what kind of genre of opportunity you want to create for your visitors. And we're going to talk about how to create that. And then we'll give you some examples of congregations that have really reached new folks through some opportunities outside of Sunday morning. So let's get started.